Hi class, we are diving into week 2, which means we're transitioning out of biblical stories into biblical poetry. This means we're going to be covering different books of the Hebrew Bible as well as a different genre. So let's take a look at our week's objectives, and then we'll talk about the different activities and assignments that you have for this week. So there are 5 objectives for this week. First, we hope that by the end of this week you can describe the cultural background of the poetic books. This will mainly be done by you reading through quite a bit of stuff in both the Oxford Annotated Bible as well as the Carver text. That will help a lot with the background issues related to the poetic books of the Bible. Next, we hope that you can analyze the main elements of Hebrew poetry. There's a video lecture on Hebrew poetry that breaks down the different elements of this genre. So we hope that you watch that. It'll be very useful for you when you tackle your essay for this week. So I highly recommend that you watch that video before you do your essay. Next, by the end of this week, you should be able to determine the main themes of the poetic books. And then you should be able to differentiate among 3 types of wisdom literature. And finally, you should be able to analyze Psalms by indicating its type, main sections, and poetic aspects. So those are the main goals for this week. We're going to do it through a number of different activities and assignments. So let's take a look at your activities. First, you're going to read chapter 5 of the Carver textbook, and then you're going to read these introductions to the poetic books of the Bible, as well as this essay that talks about the development of the Bible, and this one that talks about some background issues to the ancient Near East. The ancient Near East is a geographical location where the biblical texts were written. So learning about the background to the people that lived there and the places that were in existence when the Bible was being written is very helpful. And then you're going to read different parts of the poetic book. So the beginning and the end of Job, 4 different Psalms, and about 6 chapters, or exactly 6 chapters for the book of Proverbs. That will give you a very good introduction to the poetic books of the Bible. There are 3 videos. The lecture video I've already mentioned, so watch that, and then 2 YouTube videos, one on Joshua, one on Ecclesiastes. As far as assignments for this week, there are 2 discussion questions, one focused on praise and lament, and one focused on perspectives on good and evil. You really can't do these discussion questions well unless you have done the reading and watched the videos. So I suggest that you start with the reading, move on to the videos, and then tackle the discussion questions for the week. Just like week 1, we're looking for discussions where your group will discuss back and forth these questions. The first post really shouldn't answer all of the questions. The first post should really just try to get the conversation started. Maybe pick one of the questions. As you see, each discussion question really has several questions within it. So pick one of those you're most interested in, highlight some of the main things that you found, and then ask some questions for your group to follow up on. So both of these discussion questions should be really dialogical, dialoguing back and forth with your group. I'm not going to do a separate video for the essay. What I'm going to do is just talk about it here. So it's rather similar to the first essay in that you're analyzing a piece of literature, but instead of a narrative, you're analyzing one of the Psalms. So to do this, you're going to read 4 Psalms, and then you're going to pick one of them, one of these 4, and write your essay. I ask that you pick one of these 4 because these are really specific types of Psalms that I want you to work with. So don't pick your favorite Psalm out of all the Psalms, just pick one of these 4. So read all 4 of them and then pick one. And then you're going to compose an essay. It says 3 to 4 pages. In fact, it's going to be 2 to 3 pages. And you're going to write an introduction to start your essay. And then you'll talk in the next paragraph about the type of psalm that you have selected. As you look through the Carver textbook and read chapter 5, you'll learn that there are a number of different types of psalms. You're going to tell me in your essay which type of psalm is the one that you selected. So if you selected Psalm 2, you're going to tell me is it a praise psalm or a lament psalm. You're going to tell me if it's a royal psalm or what type of psalm is it. And then you're going to identify the main parts. In the Carver textbook, Carver talks about the main parts. Most types of psalms have 3 main parts, but lament psalms have 5. So depending on which type of psalm you select, you're going to divide your psalm up into parts. You'll say verse 1 is the introduction, verses 2 through 5 are the body of the psalm, and verse 6 is the conclusion, or something like that. Then in another paragraph, you're going to discuss the main ideas of the psalm. So what is the psalm talking about? And you're going to talk about how the psalm presents those main ideas through images, parallelisms, and details that the author of the psalm uses to support the main idea. So as you read through the Carver textbook and watch the lecture video on psalms, on Hebrew poetry, it's going to talk a lot about parallelisms and images. So what I want you to do is analyze your psalm and highlight the different images, such as metaphors or similes that are used, and highlight the different types of parallelisms that are used within your psalm. At this point, I don't expect you to know what either of these things are. That's why I say you really have to do your reading and watch the video before you do your essay so you can learn about what these are so that you can write about them well. Then you're going to summarize the main point of your selected psalm by answering these questions. What does the author seem to be most interested in? And how is the original author's message reflected in the main themes of this psalm? In the previous bullet point, you talked about the main ideas. So here you're just going to summarize why you think the author wrote this psalm. What was its purpose? How would it have functioned in its community? What was the author's purpose for writing this psalm? And how do you know that? Why do you think it's that way? Don't just tell me what you think the main message is, but tell me why you think that main message is what it is. Say, this verse really stood out to me as being about the main message. So give me examples, give me reasons why you think the author wrote what the author wrote. Finally, as a concluding paragraph, describe your personal interpretation of the meaning of the psalm you selected. So how do you apply the psalm to your life? What does it mean to you? What does it mean today? How does it impact today's issues? You can talk about societal issues or issues that are on your mind or on your heart and apply the psalm to those topics. What does this psalm mean to you? So this is a 2 to 3 page essay covering these different things. Make sure you cover all 5 of these bullet points. As I work through your essay, I'll be checking these off in my mind. Actually, I'll be using a rubric, and the rubric will specifically lay these 5 things out, and if you miss one of them, you'll lose significant points. So I suggest that at the end of your essay, you go back, read through your essay, and make sure that you've checked off all 5 of these different bullet points so that you know you've accomplished everything that's required for this assignment. Again, we're looking for formatting in APA. I'm really concerned mostly about references, so in-text citations, as well as your works cited page at the end. If you are using anybody else's work, whether it's the Carver text, the Oxford Annotated Bible, or something else, you must put a reference in. Even if it's not a direct quote, even if you're only summarizing or borrowing ideas, you need to let me know that you are using somebody else's work. That's that. That is the week 2 essay. The last thing that you need to do for week 2 is complete the quiz. So I suggest saving this until the very end of the week after you've completed every other assignment and all of the reading and watched all the videos, because the quiz is based off of pretty much everything. All right, well, shoot me an email at jjacobs@warnerpacific.edu if you have any questions. Otherwise, thank you, and I look forward to seeing your assignments and talking with you in the discussion forums.